Sorry.
Here we go. I'm loving the flow and the direction. I'm going to put my script aside because I want to ask a question based on what you've said so far. So I'm going to create a scenario where I'm an African head of state and I come to see you to say, when you transitioned from your 2 decades as a CEO into a startup environment and startup culture, baby boomer intersects with millennial, and also in a transforming world through an emerging technology that the world is figuring out. You know, from your notebook, what can you tell me as an African head of state? Because I'm scared that after that post-COVID, what's on the horizon is scary. I don't have a manual for it. I don't know how to lead through policy, automation, in such a way that I don't look like an idiot. I don't look like I don't know what I'm doing. But all my predecessors, they had the manual. All my predecessors, the world was not shifting like it is now. They were presidents or leaders before COVID, accelerated 2030 and brought it to 2020. So in terms of how you personally manage a transition and maybe to an extent allowed your ego to be left on the side and you kind of like adapted. I think there's a book by Robin Sharma, Leading Without a Title. There's a book he wrote. So how do I, being a high and mighty head of state somewhere on the continent, how do I not pretend to have all the answers, and how do I lead? How do I leave my head of state title aside and get really into preparing my government through policy and everything to be 4IR ready, even while we are still stuck in 2IR?
Okay, I've got the answer. It's very simple. And it works because not only I applied it at Consensys for 3 years, but it's the technique that I applied raising my children. I raised 3 beautiful millennials, and they are all, but if I tell you, you would be so proud of them if you knew what they have become. Why? You know why? Because at dinner time, which is the only time that they would give me the night of day when they were teenagers, you know? At dinner time, I never gave advice. Never. I was not the CEO. I wasn't the boss. I was just learning from them. So the only thing I did was to ask questions. And in the questions, I helped them work out the answers. And if, God forbid, I gave advice because sometimes you want to tell them, you know, one of my kids will say, Mom, did we ever ask for your opinion? Okay, no. No. So the answer to, yes. They made me humble.
That's honest. That's honest.
This is millennials for you. So my advice to any president is, guys, you don't have to have the answers. You are the conductor of the orchestra. You don't have to know how to play any instrument, but you need to ask questions and let the kids also, the millennials, come forward. They are the ones that understand this technology naturally. Imagine telling a millennial, go to a bank and speak to a bank manager and scan in the queue to take money. In their minds are like, are you mad? Or, sorry, the bank is closed because it's public holiday. They're going to say, what? I want real-time access, 24/7, 365, electronically with my little finger. I don't want to ask permission. I don't want to have to be accountable to anybody. I want to connect to the rest of the world. What are you telling me that I have to, what? Buy shares in the stock exchange? What? Mining shares that might be bad for the environment? No. So the point that I'm trying to make is that the gap between the baby boomers that are controlling the economy today and the millennials is huge. And their advice, therefore, to any leader is, don't think you got the answer. Your world is already in a world that you don't comprehend, the new world that this new generation is building today. Their mindset is totally from another planet to yours. So instead of trying to tell them what to do, the opposite, shush, shut up. Just go sit with them and ask them. You know, if I give you a lecture of how blockchain will change the accounting profession, I'll never forget that I gave the lecture to the professors. And the professors ended up saying, but how could I go back now to lecture to the students when I know that what I'm lecturing is already obsolete? And I said to them, because you sit with them, with the students, and ask them questions. They're going to work out how the basic pillars of accounting, auditing, and tax will be fluctuating into this new world order, and they will actually tell you how to do it. I'm convinced, because all the people that work at Consensys, they're mostly millennials, and the intelligence that they've got and the ability to see this new world, that sometimes I am like, oh, not sometimes, every day I'm like, wow, that's amazing. How did they come up with that idea? So I'm not here to tell anybody anything. I promise you. I'm just here to help when I can. But in reality, I'm here to just be a container. You know a container, what happens is that I'm like the silent witness. I'm the witness to ensure that the things that we are developing, we're not throwing the baby with the bathwater, that we are building on top of the wisdom of the ages. But I do know that what we created really has no more space in this new world. You know, when CEOs of companies say to me, I'm too busy cleaning the legacy. No? You know what I say to them? People, throw away the legacy, ignore it, go and build this new world, because you're going to build it faster, cheaper, more efficient. And therefore, you're also going to be giving opportunities to that whole, like you started saying to me, that there's a continent with a majority of younger people in the world. You know, you just give these young people the ability to, electricity, Wi-Fi, and then the ability to learn to code from wherever they live. Doesn't matter if they live in a township, they live in the middle of the desert. The main thing is you give them the basic tools, electricity, Wi-Fi, computers, and then you direct them to all the courses that are available for free or for very little cost. And then once they do the course, they'll be able to apply for jobs anywhere in the world. And now, since COVID, what we are seeing is that more and more companies are saying, don't bother coming to the office, we're going to work remote. So if Facebook said that no more coming to the office for another year, why would they be stuck with employing people in San Francisco? They'll employ anywhere in the world. And that is when Africa can start striving to show that we can be, at the forefront of this new technology. And also because it gives you so many tools for freedom. That's the other thing, I think I gave you a long story, but my advice to the leaders is shut up and listen.
No, I appreciate that.
And ask questions. Ask questions. Yeah?
I'm making notes.
Yes, but I'm sure you heard the story about Socrates. Have you heard the story about?
Is it the annex? Tell me. Yes.
Okay, so Socrates was the wisest man in Greece. And there was an oracle that pronounced him as the wisest man. And then he didn't understand why the oracle said that he was the wisest man. And then he realized why. Because when he was with people and people came to ask him for advice, he would never give advice. He would always ask a question. So he would ask you, like, let's say you want advice from me, I would ask you questions so that you could work out the answer on your own. And this is the method that they use in Harvard when they teach students. It's called the Socratean method, which is the lecturer will ask questions of the student, not give them the answer. So why I'm saying this is because if it's like the rule. If the wisest man could just shut up and ask questions, why can the leaders not do the same? Look at what we've